First of all, if you have any kids, this video's not for them. I'm going to talk about a suicide. Okay, May 9th, 1978. Say it again, 1978. I was 15 years old. A good friend of ours, Glen Sheffield, killed himself. And he basically took a shotgun, laid on the couch, took his upper teeth out, and apparently put the shotgun in his mouth as far as it'd go back here. So imagine me laying on the couch. He took his shotgun and just shoved it. And I guess he had a stick or something to hit the trigger with. And it blew, half of his head was gone. I think it was the left side of his head was gone. The coroner apparently said that his brains had to be shoveled off the ceiling of the living room, off the ceiling of the living room, and blood and matter was over the piano. Now, he had two mean dogs, man. You couldn't even look at them. One time I did that, and they attacked me. They found them under the bed. Now, he'd been dead maybe an hour and a half. I think he committed this, I think the coroner said about 2:30 p.m. That's when he pulled the trigger. They found his mean dogs under the bed, still shivering. Well, of course, you know, a shotgun inside of a house like it would be loud. I can't remember, I think it was a 20 gauge, I'm not sure. Anyway, when they found them, two under the bed, they were still shaking, yeah. But, what led up to a suicide? Now, first of all, you would have loved Glen. Man, he was a very jolly person. He had a little bit of a shake to him, like when he laughed all the time. He kind of reminded me a little of a slight bow, a little bit. I've been drinking Pepsi. Sorry. He reminded me a little bit of a bowl of jelly. He shook just a little bit. And he had to be. Yeah, I think his daughter told me here just a few years ago, cause she brought me Thanksgiving dinner. I think he was 37, and he ran a body shop in the back of his house. Now this is over on Dallasburg Road, in case you're wondering, corner of Dallasburg and Goshen Murdoch. Now he lived above that a little bit. You know, he only lived like 2 houses above us. I want to say 3 is 2. And but he ran a body shop back here, right at the end of his property in the garage. And I liked his son Eddie. Eddie was cool, and Brenda. I liked his wife Dorothy, but she had a little bit of a, I don't know. You can tell they did. Glen and his wife, they didn't get along real well. One time, we was up there, and they always, when we'd walk up there, they was always playing Johnny Cash. Now, I'm not talking about records. They had an amplifier. They had 2 or 3 amplifiers. They had 2 or 3 guitars, electric. We'd go up there. They had microphones. You almost think it was a studio. Dad and Glen, and I was too shy then, but Dad, Glen, and Eddie would sing all Johnny Cash songs. They'd get those guitars going. If you was outside, you think Johnny Cash was in concert inside the living room. Always playing those country music songs on guitars, amplifiers cranked full blast. But one time, he asked her to bring. He said, "Bring me and Woody." That's my dad. He said, "Bring me and Woody a cup of coffee," and that pretty much pissed her off. And they didn't get. You can tell they didn't get along too good. But Dorothy treated us good. Sister and I, me and Dad, she always treated us good. And she's the one that sent me, had Brenda, her daughter, she's the one that sent me a Thanksgiving dinner. Boy, she's a good cook, man. Older she got. Of course, I think I ate some snacks up there one time, but me and Dad, I can't remember if we ever ate dinner. Seemed like we may have ate dinner one time, but 6, 7 years ago, she brought me a Thanksgiving dinner, like I just said, and it was good. But anyway, he got into his head that he was afraid that he had did this little body work on some stolen cars, and he went downhill from then on. And what kind of I've already said he was a great guy. Let's say I was up for adoption back then. I would have wanted him to adopt me in a heartbeat. To me, Glen was like a father. I really liked old Glen. He was one cool dude. And good CB buddy. But I'll tell you, one time him and Dad got into it. Dad didn't start it. Usually Dad starts it, You know what I'm saying? Because, that's just the way he was. My dad, he's got a temper. Maybe I shouldn't say the word start. But anyway, they got into it out on the front porch. Man, I forget. I think it was over a woman on CB or something. Man, they got into it. I've never known Glen to have a temper like that. Man, I almost thought maybe Mom was going to have to call the law. I don't even think we had a phone in. But I thought, someone was going to have to call the law on him. And it was like 10 or 11 o'clock at night. Oh, they got into it pretty bad. And he didn't come down for 3 or 4 days. But overall, Glen was, he always taking that hand of his on my knee, and he'd say, and I quote, Greg's girl crazy. He'd always tell me that. Always. But he got in his head that he had worked on some stolen cars. And he pretty much went off his rocker from downhill from then on. And the last night, he took his shotgun. Now, where we lived there, my grandpa, my mom's dad, which I never knew, he ran a store there. I've made a video on this before. Part of the house we rented was a store. And my grandpa either had built or was already there when he bought the place in '53. Yeah, there's an outhouse. We had an outhouse in the backyard. Of course, the door was off of it. It was old. And Glen brought a shotgun down and asked Dad to shoot it at the outhouse because it was a target. And asked Dad, "What do you think? You think it's shooting correctly?" And Dad shot it. There ain't a damn thing wrong with the shotgun. Then they got into a little argument. Glen was wanting my dad to keep the shotgun for a week. It don't take a week to check sights on a shotgun. But I never will forget that. So Dad kept the shotgun a week, and I remember Dad coming in at night. Now, Glen started, you knew something was wrong. He started coming down every night. And Dad got home late from working all day, didn't feel like talking. He come down, before he killed himself, say a month, he come down every single night. Wore my dad out. And, but he forced Dad to keep that shotgun for a whole week. And Dad go down there and shoot it, and so 3 or 4 times, and Dad come in and says, "There ain't a damn thing wrong with this shotgun." I remember Dad whispered to my mom, he's gonna kill himself. That's what it's all about. Now, the night before he did it, oh man, boy, he was weird. Oh God, was he weird. Jesus. He was smoking a cigarette, and we was playing, my sister and I was playing Frisbee with him. Dad was sitting on the porch, and Glen was next to the road. We had a fence in, and next to the road, staring up at, you could see his house from where we lived, at the edge there. And me and sister was on one end, and Glen was on the other. He was by himself on the other, and we tossed him the Frisbee. 99% of the time, he stared up the house. Dad'd say, "Glen, the kids tossed you a Frisbee. It's next to your feet." Glen picked the Frisbee up and half throw it to us. He did that for about an hour, and we went in, had to go to bed. And I remember Dad, the last words Glen told my dad was, "I love you, Woody." And Dad knew what was going to happen. And I remember Dad coming in and said, "Glen's going to kill himself." And the next day, ambulance come in. Back in 1978, Mom, the economy was sort of a little rough, and Mom had to go to work because prices are going up and so forth. And so when me and my sister got in from school, they was home within 10 minutes. But back in those days, it seemed like we got home at 3:45, right around that area. Time we'd go in the house, we'd make a sandwich, and the time we'd eat the sandwich, Mom and Dad be in. They got in pretty quick, say 8 to 10 minutes. But me and my sister gets off the bus, May 9th, 1978. She's 12. I'm 15. We go in the house, unlock the door because I had the key, and Mom and Dad was working. I open the refrigerator up, got the mayonnaise, got the bread, just make us a sandwich before they get home, hold us over. And next thing I hear is sirens. I asked my sister, I said, am I hearing things or is that sirens? And then they was traveling fast because you could hear them. Me and her run outside. And we just wanted to see which way they went. Here come the ambulance. Flat out getting it. And they pull up there to Glen's place. And I look at my sister and I said, man, something's wrong. Something's happened. We see me and her sees a paramedic going inside the house, and maybe 45 seconds later he comes back out and turns off the light. Now she was too young to understand death, but I was 15 to understand death. And I didn't say anything to her. She was too young. But I was thinking, and she said, what happened there? I said, well, I don't know. I knew someone had died. I just didn't want to let her know, And so, oh my God. And I was thinking about that shotgun. I was thinking, I bet, oh my God. Well, Dad and my mom pulls in and sees that ambulance up there. And Dad says, I hope I'm wrong, but I know what's happened. Well, all of a sudden, I mean, within 15 damn minutes, people, the whole block had 50 cars there. Once everybody got the word. And a car pulled up next to our house because there's a real narrow parking lot there. Basically for when the store, a person, Opal, when she ran a store, that's where she parked, but there was no one there then. Anyway, this lady pulls into the car at passenger side. She gets out, runs up there, and within a minute she's running back, screaming her head off. We didn't know that was Glen's sister. She could barely make out. She was crying so bad and hysterical. The only thing we could make out is Glen's dead. And that's how I knew it. And then Bushman, Alvy Johnson, he's dead now too. He died a few years back. Anyway, he comes to the house and tells us what the coroner said about half of his head was gone and his brains were scattered over the ceiling. And then he said, we need to order flowers. His funeral was obviously closed casket. And I think he's buried over there. Let me think where. Oh shoot! I know where he's. I can't think of the name of the cemetery. I know where he's buried. Oh, anyway, but he's been gone since May 9th, 1978. Oh, Glen, buddy, we miss you. Rest in peace.